James Tian stripped of his CPPCC membership and steps down as Liberal Party leader. Questions over donations to Hong Kong U handled by an Occupy Central organizer. And a fiery end to a privately operated supply mission to the International Space Station. Good evening. The nation's top advisory body has decided to strip Liberal Party lawmaker James Tian of his membership on the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. This comes 5 days after he called on Chief Executive Leung Ching-ying to consider resigning. Tian says he accepts the decision and he has stepped down as the leader of the Liberal Party. Diane To reports.
CPPCC Standing Committee member Chan Wing-kee insists today's decision doesn't mean criticisms against the government aren't allowed, but that they have to be constructive.
The member has freedom of speech as long as they do not oppose the government. They can say anything, any advice to the Hong Kong government and the Chinese government, and without any hesitation.
Chan explained to Hong Kong media that James Tian had violated Article 29 of the CPPCC Charter. That is, to go against resolutions passed by the advisory body. Chan quoted Standing Committee Chairman Yu Zhengsheng as saying that this is the first time in his memory that Article 29 has been used to strip someone of his membership. The move marks the severity of the consequence of remarks made by Tian last Friday when he openly called on Chief Executive Leung Ching-ying to consider resigning. And that goes against a resolution passed by the CPPCC in March, which pledged support for Leung. Tian, along with members of his party, met with officials from the central government's liaison office in Hong Kong this afternoon after the announcement was made.
The fact that I called, or rather urged, Chief Executive CY Leung to resign because Hong Kong is getting a bit ungovernable, certainly not according to Article 29, is incorrect. Therefore, I accept their decision.
Tian, who also decided to step down as Liberal Party leader, had a meeting with his party members afterwards.
I do not see any sign that there will be any marginalization of the Liberal Party because of this development. It was made very clear to us by Mr. Jiang Xiaoming, that this is something between the CPPCC and a member of the CPPCC.
Diane To, TVB News.
A group of people went to the University of Hong Kong today to protest against Occupy Central organizer Benny Tai's participation in unlawful protests. This came as Tai resumed his teaching duties at the university. The group handed over a petition letter to the university complaining that Tai, as an associate professor of law, had broken the law intentionally. Finally, back at school after a month of joining the Occupy protests, Tai reiterated that returning was not a move to back out of the ongoing civil disobedience movement. Meanwhile, emails sent to the media have raised questions over anonymous donations to the university handled by Tai, totaling $1.45 million. Owen Feng has the story.
With emails alleging that Benny Tai had handled anonymous donations to the University of Hong Kong totaling $1.45 million, will the incident be interpreted as external forces influencing the ongoing movement? Responding to media questions on his way to class today, Benny Tai said he's not worried. He added that the university has not requested him to take any further actions regarding the donations, as he's already gone through the relevant procedures. The email was leaked to a number of media outlets. The sender, who went by the name Stephen Yip, called himself a scholar who loves the university. According to the emails, Tai handled 3 anonymous donations in May 2013. An $800,000 donation was made to the University of Hong Kong's Public Opinion Program, $300,000 to the Faculty of Law, and $200,000 to the School of Humanities. Tai initially said he received the donations indirectly and did not know the identity of the donor. But at the request of the university, Tai eventually revealed Reverend Chu Yu Ming, another organizer of the Occupy Central movement, as the source of the donations. In February 2014, Tsai passed a further $150,000 of anonymous donations to the School of Humanities. It later told the university that the donation also came from Chu. Last night, Tsai explained that a member of the public had given the money to Chu in support of the pro-democracy cause. Tsai said he did not reveal the name of the donor initially, as he was not sure about the university's procedures for anonymous donations. Owen Fung, TVB News.
It's day 32 of the Occupy protests. Demonstrators are still occupying some of the roads in Admiralty, Mongkok, and Causeway Bay. Earlier today, legal representatives placed more copies of an interim injunction in Mongkok to remind the occupiers that the court order is still in force. At around 2 p.m., lawyers acting on behalf of the minibus management company that filed the injunction arrived at the protest area. They placed copies of the court injunction order near the junction of Nathan Road and Argyle Street. While a High Court judge reserved his judgment during Monday's hearing on whether to uphold the injunctions, he made it clear that the interim injunctions will remain in place for the Mongkok occupation areas and outside Sitik Tower in Admiralty. A teenage boy allegedly tried to set off a homemade explosives at a police station last night, but officers stopped him in time. Police arrested him and later found more explosive materials at his home in Pak Fu Lam. Stephanie Cho reports.
Authorities accompanied the 15-year-old to his Wafu estate flat where they searched for explosive materials. Bomb disposal personnel then detonated the explosives in the hallway outside the teenager's home. Residents were evacuated from nearby floors during the detonation. The police say the school dropout is unemployed and has a history of mental illness. He claimed that he had learned about explosives from books and that the explosive materials he bought were readily available. Earlier last night, at around 7 o'clock, the boy walked into the Aberdeen police station report room with a lighter and 5 tubes, each containing about 200 grams of white powder. He allegedly told police officers he was going to set off the explosives but was stopped in time. Tests revealed that the powder was an explosive known as TATP. Officers detonated the explosives at the police station's car park. Reporting services and telephone lines at the station were temporarily suspended. The Hong Kong Island Regional Crime Unit is following up on the case. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Medical Association today proposed to shorten the internship period for overseas doctors from 12 months to 6 months, provided that they work in the public sector for 3 years. As Owen Fung reports, the association believes this will help ease manpower shortage in the public sector.
With around 200 to 300 vacancies, doctors in public hospitals are in short supply. Today, the Hong Kong Medical Association announced a proposal which it believes could help ease manpower shortage in the public sector. Currently, doctors with overseas qualifications have to pass a licentiate exam and undertake a 12-month internship if they wish to practice in Hong Kong. But under the proposal by the Hong Kong Medical Association, overseas doctors can shorten the internship to 6 months on the condition that they work in public hospitals for 3 years. Upon completion of the 3-year contract, these doctors can then become fully licensed. But if any of them wishes to practice in the private sector, then he or she will need to complete the year-long internship before becoming fully licensed. President of the Medical Association, Louis Shi, said that some overseas doctors are reluctant to work as interns as the pay is low, while others are already specialists in their own countries. Shortening the internship period, therefore, should make it more attractive for overseas doctors to work in the public sector.
This policy, of course, is a temporary measure to solve the existing shortage of manpower in the hospital authority. This is not a long-term measure.
The association will submit the proposal to the Medical Council of Hong Kong, which will discuss the matter next month. Owen Fung, TVB News.
Turning overseas now, an unmanned rocket exploded just seconds after liftoff from a commercial launch pad on the eastern seaboard of the United States. As Alan Booknier reports, it's the first accident since NASA turned to private operators to deliver cargo to the International Space Station.
4, 3, 2,